We're taking time to talk in depth to Milwaukee Police Chief Ed Flynn. Thanks so much for your time. I just want to get right to it. Just days ago at the Crime Prevention Awards ceremony, usually a very happy occasion, we had Mayor Barrett delivering some stern words about what he feels is a disproportionate or inadequate amount of state funding given what the city pours into the entire state.
That means we're going to have to face a decision as to whether we're going to fund libraries, nurses, fire department, or are we going to continue to put dollars into the police department?
Is it that grave of a situation?
Well, it's a very dynamic situation, and there's a lot of stresses on the municipal budget. I mean, there's a false narrative that's developed in the state that somehow Milwaukee is some sort of economic basket case simply because we have high rates of concentrated poverty, which we certainly do. But the point is that the economy of Milwaukee is robust, and we are generating more revenue for the state than the state is returning to the city in terms of shared revenue. And that has a dramatic impact on our budget because, you know, we're policing not just the people who live 24 hours a day in Milwaukee, we're policing everybody that comes to Milwaukee. Everybody that comes to Milwaukee to, you know, engage in any sort of activity, whether it's a demonstration or a concert or a ball game, is depending on Milwaukee Police Department services. We're not asking them to pay for it. What we want is the fair share of the revenue that we're sending to Madison to come back to us because I can pay for the police department.
I've heard this argument for several years now that I've been here. You are a highly persuasive person. You have proven results with targeting pockets of crime. Why have you not persuaded Madison to help?
Well, I think there are some discussions there that go beyond policy and data and enter the realm of politics. And I think here we have a case where hopefully the data speaks for itself, that we can get beyond who's got a blue tie on and who's got a red tie on, and look at the fact that this city represents a substantial chunk of the state's population, that this city has within its borders a lot of distressed neighborhoods that are the targets of a great deal of violent crime. And the city is all in, right? The city pays more, overwhelmingly more, for its component of public safety than any other unit of government does. And we like the state to, if not, you know, provide more services, to certainly provide us more tools so we can do the job. And those tools are money that we've sent there in the first place.
If you had the extra money, would you be hiring more officers?
If we had extra money, we'd be in a position to hire more officers. We'd be in a position to replace the fleet at a faster rate than we can. Right now, we've got a number of cars that are more than 10 years old. We've got something significant part of the fleet that's got more than 100,000 miles on it, and these are hard urban miles, not highway miles. We've got, you know, times when there's 15, 16, 70% of our fleet's in the shop because it's old and it needs a lot of repairs. So yeah, we'd have more cars sooner. We'd probably have more officers. And as I say, we're not asking for charity. We're just saying, give us the kind of percentage of our shared revenue that you used to and allow us to do the job we have to do.
It's certainly not lost on news viewers that any type of public safety issue seems, for good or bad, or indifference, attached to politics. In particular, last weekend, you making statements when asked about the immigration executive order from President Trump. And you likened it to police going in and actually grabbing people out of their homes or out of their workplace. Do you really think that's what the executive order means?
Well, I've read it very closely. I mean, this has a big impact on major city police chiefs. I'm very active in the Major City Police Chiefs Association. And the challenge for us is our primary responsibility is local crime afflicting our local residents. That's our job. Immigration enforcement is a federal job. Under the current law, local law enforcement isn't empowered. We have no authority to detain people simply for being out of status. Too many folks are trying to conflate the issue of somebody being here in an undocumented status and people committing crimes. This police department under my leadership and my predecessor has always notified ICE when we had a criminal in custody. That's never been an issue. We arrest somebody for a serious crime, we notify ICE if they're out of status. What we don't do is have the authority to detain someone simply because they're out of status. Lawfully, it's a civil violation. So the question is, do we want the authority? And my answer is no. Our plate's full. We got to deal with high rates of violent crime. I need willing victims and willing witnesses, all right? And if we're going to terrorize people into not, you know, cooperating with the police because they think we're an arm of immigration, we're going to see higher rates of violence, and we will not be effective in dealing with it. So, my position is the same as most of the big city chiefs in America. You've got your job to do, federal government, enforce immigration law. We have our job to do, deal with violent crime. When the two come together, we're absolutely shoulder to shoulder with you. But when they don't come together, you do your job and we'll do our job.
Your response to the critics who say you're choosing which laws to follow and which ones not to?
That's remember, this is a civil violation, not a criminal violation. And B, we have our priorities, as does immigration. Immigration doesn't do murder investigations. We do. Immigration doesn't do robbery investigations. We do. We don't do immigration investigations. They do. Now, that's not choosing which laws to enforce. It's recognizing what our respective roles are in keeping our cities safe.
Recently, viewers have really had an interest in some stories I've been reporting on. Judge Conan saying from the bench and being highly critical of low bail amounts during initial appearances of violent criminals, and then also the judge in gun court saying that he's going to send a message to the teenagers who are taking part in this bump and run, carjacking, theft spree.
This type of behavior is not going to be accepted or tolerated.
You think this is political speak that will have no real impact in the total crime fighting effort within the entire system?
Well, here's what we know. We know that we've got a real problem with high rates of offending and getting them significant sanctions to deter behavior or to at least incapacitate them. We keep hearing from the critics of the criminal justice system that prison doesn't work. All right? Now, I don't know what that means. It doesn't necessarily turn sinners into saints. That's true. But what prison and jail can do is incapacitate offenders so that they can't commit crimes while they're incapacitated and bring justice to victims. Those are two significant responsibilities of incarceration. And in the last few years, there's been this huge movement to de-incarcerate people as rapidly as possible and do everything we can not to make them incarcerated. And that's a mistake for certain crimes. It's a mistake in carjacking, it's a mistake in car theft, it's a mistake in robberies and shootings. And it's good to see that some judges are taking this very seriously, because those messages need to be sent. If we don't send those messages, then it's rational behavior for criminals to carry guns, because it's more dangerous to get caught without the gun than they get caught with the gun.
Thank you, Chief Flynn, for your time.
Thank you.